Samantha says, "Hi, Raf. I love your Ask Me Anything series. Thank you. I learn so much each week, from things I've been wanting to know to things I needed to know but didn't realise yet. I'm glad you're enjoying it, Sam. This might be controversial, so I understand if you can't cover it. I was going to do the Breathe Clinical Pilates Diploma a couple of years ago, but had to move to New Zealand for work. When I moved back to Australia this year, I saw that the clinical diploma isn't currently offered and that Breathe wasn't a member of the PAA anymore. That's the Pilates Alliance of Australasia, nor one of their recommended training providers. What does this mean with regards to the Breathe training and outcomes? Does Breathe, not being a PAA recommended course provider, limit employment opportunities and access to insurance if I do my training with Breathe? Will the clinical diploma return? No worries if it's not appropriate to cover in AMA. I was just wondering when it comes to choosing a training provider and course. Kind regards, Sam." Hey, Sam. Happy to talk through that with you or for you. So there are two separate issues there. The first one is the clinical diploma and the second one is our affiliation with the PAA. So I'll talk about the clinical diploma first. We have taken it off. We have removed it from our course schedule. We ran the last one, started in June this year. It's still running. And I've engaged in some very intensive conversations with a large number of students over the last month or two and about what people are looking for in a diploma, and we're redesigning it and are going to bring it back ASAP. I can't give you an exact date, but my guesstimate would be January next year we'll run the next one. And I will make a separate video at some stage in the near future on the specifics of what that course is going to look like. So yeah, the diploma has been running continuously since 2012. We just pulled it in June this year because it just wasn't doing that well for us. It's a great course educationally, but it never really broke even for us. We spent money every time we ran it, so we just have sort of pulled it off the road, and now we're going to rebuild it and put it back on. So as to our affiliation with the PAA, the Pilates Alliance of Australasia, well, we were affiliated with PAA, and the PAA, for most of you who don't know, is one of two essentially self-appointed peak industry bodies in Australia for Pilates. And peak industry bodies, there are peak industry bodies in fitness. There's one called Fitness Australia, one called Physical Activity Australia. There's one for the Australian Physiotherapy Association. There's the Osteopathy Australia. There's peak industry body for most different kind of professions. And membership in peak industry bodies for practitioners, if you're a fitness instructor, membership in Fitness Australia, or if you're a Pilates instructor, membership in the Pilates Alliance or the Australian Pilates Method Association, which is the other one, the APMA, is optional. It's completely optional. It's not required. And according to an IBIS World survey in 2018, there were at that time about 9,000 people in Australia were employed as Pilates instructors. And my best guess, again at that time, was that about the membership of the PAA was something like 800 or 900 members, so roughly 10% of the people employed in Australia as Pilates instructors who are members of the PAA. Now, that number is really a guesstimate. Based on some knowledge, I used to sit on the committee of the PAA, so I have some knowledge of their historical membership numbers, but that was a few years ago. So it's an optional thing to be a member of the PAA. Why people? There used to be a really good reason to be a member of the PAA, and that's hence our affiliation. When we were running the Diploma of Clinical Pilates pre-April 2019, a qualified diploma level Pilates instructor who was also a member of the PAA was eligible for private health fund provider numbers for Pilates sessions, and so your clients could claim a rebate if they had a private health insurance with the appropriate level of cover, and you had that provider number. So in order to have that provider number, you needed to have two things: one, a diploma level qualification, and two, a full membership of the Pilates Alliance. And so there was a really good reason to be a member of the PAA, because it made you eligible for those health fund rebates. So we went through a very long and involved process to have our courses, the Cert 4 and the diploma, approved by the PAA as, PAA approved courses, which made graduates of those courses eligible to join the PAA. And we, in fact, went so far as to gift all of our Cert 4 students with a Matwork level membership of the PAA, which is a kind of entry-level membership, with a student level membership of the PAA when they enrolled in the Matwork course with us. And what we found over time was that that was at cost. That cost us money to do that, quite a significant amount. And what we found was that over time, less than 10% of those students actually renewed their PAA membership after they graduated. So it was something that they very clearly said to us with their actions, that they didn't see the value in that membership. For the diploma graduates, there was a real value because they were then eligible for those health fund rebates. However, in April 2019, the Australian federal government brought in a new law, which removed those health fund rebates for all Pilates instructors. So the rebates were off the table, and all of a sudden the reason for joining the PAA essentially evaporated overnight on the 1st of April 2019. So basically our students, from that date forward, pretty much told us loud and clear, or our graduates told us, that they just didn't see the value in the PAA membership. It's something like $350 or $370 a year or something to be a full member. And you get basically nothing for that except for a membership sticker and a letter saying you're a member. There's no tangible benefit to that. And what's more, that membership cost is probably quadrupled by the requirement to get 20 hours of continuing education every year. And the PAA insists that at least 15 of those hours, or at least they did back in my day, insists that at least 15 of those hours are Pilates specific, their approved courses. So basically, you have to do their approved courses by their approved training providers. So you can't go and do an anatomy course or a business course or some Pilates course that's not by one of their approved providers. It's kind of basically they make you spend the money with them. And those courses are not cheap. So it's quite a considerable financial investment, and our students just didn't see the value. And given that our students didn't see the value, there was a real significant cost to us of maintaining that affiliation. They insisted on a lot of compliance, things that basically made us spend time and effort and money to maintain, and also to change our course a bit, which we weren't crazy about. And then that was one big reason, is just basically there's no particular value in that membership. 90% of working instructors aren't members, and now that the health fund rebates are gone since early 2019, there's no particular reason to be a member. The second reason is the PAA took a stance that reformer should not be taught as part of a Certificate 4 level qualification, and should only be taught as part of a diploma level qualification, which in our view was just a very backward thinking sort of a move, or sort of a stance to take, because if you've walked down any street in any suburb of Melbourne in the last 5 years, you would have noticed that you walked past a couple of group reformer Pilates studios, and that reformer Pilates is the number one and largest and fastest growing segment in the market, in the industry, and it's probably 10 times bigger than any other form of Pilates, like mat Pilates or studio Pilates or whatever. And so to restrict that and make it a more elite qualification that was only available in the diploma level course, which is like a much longer, more expensive, more involved course. And you have to teach all the studio equipment, the Cadillac chair and barrels, which basically 90% of people will never use in their teaching career. Just seemed to us like a crazy stance to take. And they, after they had approved our certificate for mat work and reformer, they then wanted to, us to remove the reformer from the certificate for in mat work and reformer. So at that point we said, yeah, nah, that's not going to work for us. So we gave them notice, we chose to end our affiliation, and after we chose to end our affiliation with them and gave them notice, they then removed us as one of their approved course providers. So that's the full story of our affiliation and end of our affiliation with the PAA. And your question, what does this mean with regards to Breathe training and outcomes? Does Breathe, not being a PAA recommended course, provide a limit employment opportunities and access to insurance if I do my training with Breathe? It may limit your employment opportunities with those very small number of studios that prefer PAA accredited or not accredited, PAA affiliated training providers, and I would say that those studios would pretty much almost all be like full Pilates equipment studios with Cadillacs and chairs and barrels, not group reformer studios, because if you're a group reformer teacher, you basically aren't eligible to be a member of the PAA. So if your ambition is to work in that kind of more traditional Pilates environment, and you're working with and your ambition is to work with somebody who is affiliated with the PAA and has strong views on these things, then yeah, that may limit your employment opportunities. But if you want to be a group reformer teacher, if you want to start your own clinical studio, if you want to work with physiotherapists in a physiotherapy clinic, if you want to work with more open-minded, I would guess the vast majority of studio owners, they won't give a crap whether you're a member of the PAA or not, and probably, in fact, most of them have probably never even heard of the PAA. So will it limit your opportunity to access to insurance? Absolutely not at all. So the PAA don't accredit courses in Australia. The Australian government accredits courses. Industry bodies don't accredit courses. Accreditation in Australia is something that is a legal status. So our course, the Cert 4 and the diploma, are accredited by the Australian government through the Australian Skills Quality Authority, and so we're legally, we're regulated by them. And they have very strict compliance requirements and course accreditation requirements. And because of that, the Cert 4 and the diploma that we offer sit within the Australian qualifications framework, the AQF, along with, high school qualifications, university qualifications, whatever, and they are recognised, those qualifications are recognised by law throughout Australia. So the PAA has nothing to do with accreditation. They're a private organisation. And like any private organisation, they may have rules, but the rules only apply to their members. So if you want to be a member of the PAA, they can make whatever rule they want, and the rule that they have is that you have to do a PAA-approved course. So their approval or lack of approval applies only to your ability to become a member of the PAA. Insurance companies will insure you and must insure you by law, because once you have an Australian government accredited qualification. So will the clinical diploma return? Yes, it will, and I'll do another video about that. So hope that answers your question. Thanks very much for asking.